Let's replace the battery on this Honda CR-V. This is going to work for the years between 2012 and 2016. So what are you going to need? You're going to need a deep socket 10 millimeter like I have here. I have mine on a drill, but you can have yours on a ratchet of any kind, but you're definitely going to need that deep socket 10 millimeter. You're also going to need a brand new battery, and you can get this at any local auto parts store or your local Honda dealership. Just give them your vehicle's VIN number. Okay, so we're going to be focused on 4 points on the battery. Right here, the bolt that's on your negative terminal, and the bolt that's on your positive terminal. So the first thing that we're going to be focused on is these little black covers. So go ahead and get your 10 millimeter and loosen up both of these black covers. So we're going to loosen up this one, and then we're going to loosen up this one. And after you loosen them, you should be able to pop them off with your hands, just like I do here, and just get them off to the side, because we're going to have to loosen the bolts that are actually on that holder bracket now. So grab that 10 millimeter again, and we're going to loosen both of the holder bracket bolts. And you can notice I'm not taking these bolts all the way off. I'm just loosening them. If you take them all the way off, it's going to make it a little more difficult than it needs to be. So just loosen these bolts. Don't take them all the way off. And once they're loose, you can see this holder bracket is in these holes. So you need to remove the posts from the holes. And once you have these posts removed from the holes, you could just lift up on this holder bracket and it'll come right off, just like this. And we're just gonna put that off to the side. Okay, now we're ready to loosen our negative and positive terminal bolts. Now it's very important to loosen your negative terminal bolt first and remove your negative terminal first for safety reasons. So grab your 10 millimeter again, and we're gonna loosen up this bolt. Once again, we're not completely removing it, we're just loosening it. And once it's loose, just give that negative terminal a wiggle and it should come right off just like that. We're gonna put it off to the side, and we're gonna do the same thing with our positive terminal. So grab that 10 millimeter again, and we're gonna loosen the bolt that's on that positive terminal right here. And once that's loose, you should be able to wiggle it off just like we did the negative terminal. Just like this, and put them off to the side. All right, so once those terminals are out the way, we're gonna be ready to remove this cover. And this can be a little bit of a pain with everything in the way, but just work with it, pull it off, and get it out the way. And now we're ready to remove our old battery. So get everything out the way once again, if there's anything in your way. And you're probably gonna need 2 hands for this. Go ahead and pull up on your battery and get it out the way. All right, so now let's just check and make sure that nothing got completely moved out the way or anything by removing our old battery. And now we're ready to put in our new battery. So once again, you'll probably need 2 hands, and go ahead and put it in just like it came out. Be very mindful of where your negative and your positive terminal are on the battery. Be mindful of where the negative and the positive posts are. You'll see a plus and a minus. The plus needs to go with the red, and the minus needs to go with the black. So when you think of the plus, think of positive. And when you think of the minus, think of negative. And yeah, go ahead and remove those little caps. And now we're gonna put that little cover back on. And this can be a pain once again because there's everything in the way, but just work with it and get it in there just like it was. Just like this. You're just gonna have to work with it a little bit. All right, so once that's back on, we're gonna be ready to put our positive and negative terminal back on. And when we're putting it back on, we wanna put our positive terminal back on first instead of the negative for safety reasons. So put your positive terminal back on first. So we put the positive terminal on, and we're gonna tighten it up. And we do not need to over tighten these bolts, just once they get tight, maybe a little bit past that. All right, so now we're gonna put our negative terminal back on, and we're gonna tighten up that negative bolt back. Once again, not over tightening, just definitely getting it tight. All right, so we've got both our positive and negative terminal back on there, and now we're ready to put this post back on. This is our little holder bracket post, whatever you wanna call it. And remember, they've got those posts on there, and we had to remove them from the holes to get it out. Now we need to put the post back in the holes to tighten it back up. So we're gonna put those posts in both of those holes, and we're gonna lift up on it just like I'm doing here while we tighten it. I'm gonna have to put the phone down to do that. So I got both of those bolts tight while holding it up, which makes it a lot easier. And I'm just gonna wiggle everything, make sure everything's tight. We're all good to go. All right, and then we can put those little black covers back on the holder post. And once we have that done, we have successfully replaced the battery, but we're going to have to get in the vehicle and make sure it starts and check on that radio. All right, let's try and start the car up. Okay, so our car started right up, which means that our battery replacement was successful, but your radio is probably not going to be working. As you can see, the time is flashing, and if we try and turn the radio on, it's going to say push and hold power button for more than 2 seconds to start. So all we're going to have to do is click this power button and hold it for about 2 seconds, and your radio will reset just like that. Now, if you want to reset the clock, you're going to come right over to here, and you're going to click and hold the aux button. You see clock is right next to aux. You click and hold the aux button, and you'll hear it click, and then this option will come up, and you'll use this to control your clock. So just put it on whatever you want to put it on and click set. Now your clock is set, your radio is working, and everything is good to go. Your battery has successfully been replaced.